reasonable doubt as required by the Constitution and as determined by this court in advance. And that evidence is beyond the political statements which have been made by my learned friend, Professor Kindiki, just a few minutes ago, and which have never been put on record. On the issue of Rule 87.3, my view and my humble submission is that rule, contrary to the provisions of Section 39 of the Elections Act, and Article 183, 3C, is the only regulatory framework which confers those powers which have been reserved for the Commission and grants them to the chairman. It is contrary to the Act, it is unconstitutional, contrary to the Constitution, and that was so observed in the case of Maina. Now, there was a question raised by Justice Dr. Onjala, and you queried whether NSC would have gone to influence the alterations of results without knowing the results. My learned friend, who has just appeared, exhorts that the results were known because invitations had been sent out and the letter had been sent out. To the contrary, the evidence before you by the chairman was that he had gone to tally, to obtain the final tally only after he had met the commission, and that is found at paragraph 676 of his affidavit, where he says that after the NSAC team had left, the commission secretary, chief executive officer, who was also the alternate team leader of the tallying center, Marjan Hussain, walked into the boardroom. Yeah. The purpose of the meeting was to receive the final tally of the results of the presidential elections before he could proceed to declare. And it is only thereafter that the results were handed to the commission and they walked out. So that even by the admission of the chairman, he was not aware of the results until after the NSAC team had left. Now, the Deputy Chief Justice asked about the effect of NSAC on the independence of IEBC. Your Ladyship, NSAC is a body comprised of all the heads of the security organs in this country, the head of civil service, the representative of Attorney General, and other heads in the government. Its purpose is to receive all the information on national security and give advice, not act, but give advice, which they were requested to undertake. I had shouts from another friend on behalf of His Excellency, the Deputy President, of crucify them. In fact, this has indeed led to tweets today, and there are many, to various members of the NSAC telling them we shall revisit. This is what this type C telling them we shall revisit. This is what this type of allegation brings. And that is why I humbly request this court to look at the nature of the allegation, the burden on the people who are making the allegation, and dismiss them if there is no proof, and in my humble submission, there is no proof, so that we discourage this political vilification on officers conducting their official duties. Let's be careful, and I humbly request particularly my learned colleagues on what we wish for this country. Let us not wish mob justice to be the arena of operations whenever various functionaries are discharging their duties. Let politicians do politics, but let them leave professionalism to those who are engaged in various areas. In fact, since this process started, there has been a lot of vilification on the judges, on the parties appearing. In fact, tweeting has been the norm on discussing this issue instead of looking at it soberly. We can't stop tweeting. They are entitled to. But we can't bring it to this court. That's my humble submission. I beg that these allegations be dismissed with the contempt they deserve. My learned friend, Mr. Ngatia, requests for donation of the 2 minutes to him, but I really would wish not to be so gratuitous.
Thank you. Madam Chief Justice, if you may allow me, I did not put one of our lawyers on record, Mr. Donald Kipkorir, who is not in court because of the sitting arrangements. But to come to the business before us, in answer to the questions, 4 of us will deal with all the questions that were asked by the court, beginning with my learned friend, Mr. Paul Mwangi.
Madam Chief Justice, Madam Lady Deputy Chief Justice, my lords, my ladies, I have 9 questions which I'll tackle very first. What I have done is I have classified it into topics because they were across the board. The first is the relevance of rejected votes in the counts of the election. This is a matter that we have asked the court both in 2013 and 2017 to relook. We wish to resubmit as we resubmitted the 2 times, and to say that it is still our position that people who come out to vote, whether their vote is counted or not, are coming out to make a stand on the issue, and whether, either due to technicality or other reason, their vote is not counted, they must be not treated as those who stayed at home. They are people who came to express an opinion on how they want to be led, but for various reasons their vote was not counted. But the fact that they appeared should be taken into account, so that you would consider their votes whether they are rejected, and even if they are called stray ballots, should also be considered in that sum. The second question was regarding the scientific whether there are any scientific studies regarding the nexus of elections in a postponement. We have seen, unfortunately, we could not tender any further documents of this, but there are very many theories in political science, one of which we came across with the contagion theory, that elections affect each other. People come out to vote for various reasons, and especially when you're dealing with elections of a national level and a devolved level, there are very many considerations that would make somebody want to come to make a decision on a devolved government or a national government and not necessarily care about the other. But one of the things that we also must consider in Kenya's political culture is that in Kenya we do have 6 Ps kind of campaigns, and that people come out to campaign together as teams, trying to win across the board on all the seats. And that when you disenfranchise one, when you stop one election, that means you demobilize part of the political infrastructure that is laid out for that. And lastly, on this point, we want the court also to consider that, at least in respect of Mombasa, and our evidence has shown that there was an order from the Mombasa High Court that has stopped the printing of these ballots, and that was disobeyed. There was also a promise that had been made by the chairman that he will not print, and he went against that too. And lastly, that it was announced on the last minute in that night. The third issue was what elements of